Okay, we're about midway through 2021, and so far there has been some amazing televisions to be released. But if you are looking for one of the best gaming televisions as well as multimedia televisions that for the price, for the value, for the technology right now, you probably should be looking at this television, which is actually last year's version. This is the LG Nano99 8K 75-inch television. You're going to need two people, two tall people. Okay, so we all know the deal with the embedded videos within the televisions from the store mode in the settings. Typically, this is going to be the best possible picture, and in watching this video back through editing, it looks 10 times better than this. But for example, I wanted to show you kind of what the TV is capable of. Now, we all know that there's not a lot of 8K content out right now. However, when you compare this television to some of your 4K televisions that are coming out right now by Sony, LG, Samsung, etc., you're paying in the high 3,000s, the mid 4,000s for the Sony ranges. You now have the Vizios and the TCL starting to creep up into that $3,000, $3,500 range for 4K television. Now, we all know that 8K, just like 4K was 8 years ago or so, is going to be the next big thing, or at least the next standard. And if you're looking at longevity from a video game standpoint, we all know that the new consoles are 8K 60 frames per second capable. And we know that 8K video games are coming. And we also know that with the new 30 series GPUs, that 8K gaming is available now on the PC variant, the computers. So with that being said, yes, there's not a lot of 8K content anywhere to be found, but when you're thinking about how often you actually replace a television, especially these televisions that we're buying today, 8K may be the best way to go right now. And with the current year 8K models being 6,000 and 7,000, for the Samsung and the LG, and then sometimes even almost 8,000 to 9,000 for the Sonys. This little old bad boy right here from 2020 is on sale for $3,500. So for starters, it's an 8K television. You have VRR with 4K 120 or 8K 60. It has Bluetooth 5.0, so you can connect surround sound speakers to it directly, or headphones, i.e. like the Xbox Series X, the Dolby Atmos headphones you can connect directly to this television. It also has, it's an LCD IPS panel with full array LED dimming. It's a native 120 hertz panel. It has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. It has auto low latency mode, which means it automatically realizes when the game is plugged in and lowers the latency. It also has HDMI eARC as well as the basic ARC. It's Dolby Atmos, it's HDR10, it's Dolby Vision, HLG, and HGIG for gaming to round out the HDR formats. And from the smart TV capabilities, it has all of the assistants. It has Google, it has Alexa, it has Apple HomeKit. It also has the AirPlay 2, which allows you to play your Apple devices directly to the television, including screen sharing. So I mean, from a like 2021 spec sheet, it has pretty much everything wrapped up in either a 65-inch or a 75-inch body. That was a lot to get through. I'll put the spec sheet in the description below. Okay, so let's jump into some basic gaming. This is Outriders. It is a 4K 60 game. But I wanted to show you multiple examples of what gaming looks like on this television. So one of the things to keep in mind is that you're going to see glares on this screen, and I thought it was important to show real use. And that's why sometimes it is better to pick a LED panel over an OLED panel. In my living room, it is nothing but windows. And so a TV like this that has a very high output when it comes to brightness is able to sustain, colors within this, very, very bright living room without having to suffer from, light bleed. I mean, not light bleed, but the light basically oversaturating the colors and making the colors look dull and what have you. So it's very important to have a television, an LCD panel that also can perform in both conditions, if you will. So now we're in a dark scene and we're watching gameplay from A Plague Tale: Innocence, and at this point the room is pitch black, and you're seeing how now the colors are super, super vibrant. And this is an old game, right? So this game, I mean, it's not old, but it's old in gaming. This couple is like 2.5, almost 3 years old at this point. So even like color in this game, looks phenomenal on this television, along with areas where it didn't really have HDR, but I mean, it's the TV simulates HDR, and also not necessarily ray tracing, but you'll see a lot of spaces in this game where she'll be walking through a room and there's light shining through a window behind her, and it looks like there's actual ray tracing going on in the environment, but it's just this game was before its time when it comes to the way that they created the lighting effects in this particular game. But I wanted to definitely point out that an LCD panel sometimes will beat an OLED panel depending on the way that you're using using the television and where you're using the television. An OLED panel, obviously, we all know it by now, has the best contrast, even compared to the new micro LED TVs that are close. They're still not as good as an OLED when it comes to just pure blackness, contrast level, and HDR capabilities. But definitely wanted to show you all different aspects of gaming on this television, different types of games on this television. I've played so many games since I bought this. I've played through all of Plague Tale. I've played through Forza Horizon. I've played through Resident Evil Village twice. I'm currently playing Need for Speed Heat on Game Pass. I'm going to continue to play games. It's an absolute joy to play games on this. And keep in mind, this is a 75-inch screen, and typically the larger the screen, sometimes it increases the lag and different things like that. Not with an 8K television, not with VRR and 120 frames per 20 frames per second, 4K VRR, etc. It's a phenomenal television. I think you will extremely enjoy this. But again, the reason that I'm looking at this television in particular is because there's a lot of televisions coming out in 2021 that are still based on a 4K display. And now that we have 8K as an option in PC gaming as well as console gaming, I wanted to buy a television for the living room that's going to be able to stay in the living room long term and not have to switch up again and again as new technologies emerge, if you will. And not to say that this can't be your primary television right now, because it most certainly absolutely can because of all of the specs. But that's the reason that I purchased this for the living room, is because I don't sit in the living room often. It's just until I have my basement completed, and then I'll be down there probably full time. But until then, I'm going to game a lot up here. And so I just wanted to have a great gaming experience. Okay, some things to look out for when buying a large screen television. If you look at the picture, you can see what's called uniformity issues, where the top right of the screen is a little bit lighter than the bottom half, and also in the top middle section over to the top left section. that's called uniformity. As you can see that the gray is not consistent throughout. Now your average person will not notice this, but for someone like myself that pays attention to things like uniformity issues, banding, etc., it sticks out like a sore thumb. And on certain scenes, those areas are lighter than other areas. Now, most people will see this as an HDR effect or possibly just the coloring in the screen. However, I could definitely tell that on an all black screen, those areas were slightly lighter, and I cannot unsee it just because of the fact that I'm aware of it being there. So thankfully, I always work with Brand Smart, and this is not any type of ad for them or whatever, but I've bought a lot of electronics from them here in the Atlanta area, and they're a national store, so you may have them in your area, you may not. But it was a very simple process. Reach out to the sales woman, Leslie, that sold me my television. And then she got me in contact with David, who's the store manager. David said, bring it back and we will give you another. It was that simple. I boxed it up, took it back. They gave me another one. And now this one has no issues that I can tell so far after about 2 weeks of having it. And again, the television itself, it's not a knock on the television. Everyone knows that when you buy these large televisions, it's like playing the panel lottery. Sometimes you just get a bad panel, and you just make sure to check that out as always in that return period to make sure that you have a good television. So lastly, in conclusion, I think that this is possibly the best television to buy in 2021 for gaming due to the fact that it's 8K, it's 4K 120, it's 8K 60, it has VRR, it has all of the gaming technology that you need in 2021. It has all 4 HDMI 2.1 ports as opposed to 1 in the Samsung variant and the Sony variant. It's an LCD panel, so it's great in both day and nighttime, in dark and bright rooms. And just from a pricing standpoint versus what an 8K 2021 model, when there really isn't going to be a huge disparity or difference, it's kind of hard to beat right now, kind of hard to justify the extra money. And not to mention that these are going to continuously go down as the stock continues to go down. Again, I purchased mine from BrandSmart for $3,569, something like that. So in comparison to the 2021 models that are 4K at a higher amount, it just doesn't make sense at this point if you're going to be using it in a bright room like this. If you're looking for a dark room, the 77-inch C10 OLED is like $3,200, but it's 4K. So it's up to you. What's more important for you? Is it gaming right now or gaming long term? With that, leave a like, please share and subscribe as always. Look forward to chatting with you in the comments. If there's anything that you want to know about this television, let me know. But until then, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I'll see you next time. Peace.